Ristretto, Venti, Half-Soy, Nonfat, Decaf, Organic Chocolate Brownie, Iced Vanilla, Double Shot, Gingerbread, Frappuccino, Extra Hot, with foam, whipped cream, upside down, double blended, one sweet and low and one Nutri-Sweet, and ice. That's exactly why I only ordered the blueberry muffins from Starbucks. Oscar Wilde on the... I'm not going to say it until the time it was ordered. Again, not going to say it, is the longest possible order you could order at Starbucks. Once you have ordered this, you cannot order anything larger. It was ordered only once in the late 1990s, and it single-handedly destroyed the economy of South America. It is now illegal in both American continents, Africa, Asia, Europe, and Antarctica. In fact, it's now legal everywhere, except for a select few unclaimed square inches in the southern Pacific Ocean and Belgium. The United Nations are working on this problem even as you read this. Prior to October 26, 2001, read that for yourself because that's even longer, was the longest possible order at Starbucks. However, the Patriot Act made it a criminal offense to utter its name, as it tends to call forth the demons of hell. A photograph of the drink. Notice the vile creature lurking within. The time it was ordered. A man approaches a Starbucks with nothing but 3 full checkbooks and his clothes. Cold, calculating. This man has done his math. He's cracked the Starbucks code, if you will. He is going to order the largest Starbucks order possible. His name? Dane Johnson. Dane Earl Johnson Jr. was the insane man who ordered the deadly concoction. An aging, eccentric billionaire with a bleak outlook on life, Dane wanted one last sick, cheap thrill before he kicked the eternal bucket. And so, one fateful Thursday afternoon in December of 1997, he approached a small Starbucks in a sleepy Montana town. He dramatically entered the restaurant with an uncanny air of gravitas and resolve. He strolled up to the cashier, a 24-year-old female by the name of Emily Huckabone. He let his eyes sweep the crowded room, then turned on Emily and said, "You might want to write this down." He then proceeded to order a double Ristretto, Venti, Half-Soy, Nonfat, Decaf, Organic Chocolate Brownie, Iced Vanilla, Double Shot, Gingerbread, Frappuccino, Extra Hot, with foam, whipped cream, upside down, double blended, one sweet and low and one Nutri-Sweet, and ice, his voice never faltering. He also ordered a raisin scone. And then all hell broke loose. Starbucks HQ, circa 3 minutes later. Work begins. The workers employed at the Starbucks had been trained for such a day, but could never be ready. To them, it was an obscure warning footnote in an unread employee manual. They panicked and contacted Starbucks HQ. Within 24 hours, every Starbucks in the nation was set to work on the drink. With the exception of the virtual closing of every Starbucks in the country and the mass riots, killings, and suicides by caffeineless office workers that ensued, the 3-month project passed relatively unnoticed. But then the thinkable happened. The imaginable, the predictable, the inevitable. Colombia's economy collapsed. These strapping young men are preparing for a hard day's work at the old caffeine mines. Colombia's economy collapses. Colombia had ran out of the precious coffee bean. Without it, no coffee. That rattled the economies of both North America and Europe. Shortly afterwards, the elaborate and complicated cocaine empire of Colombia fell down in a heap. South America completely imploded. Nearly 62% of everyone in the Western Hemisphere south of Mexico began suffering from withdrawal. The drink is completed. For a long time, it seemed that there was no hope. People over the world were dying from starvation, dehydration, and, without caffeine and cocaine, people were falling asleep and then dying of withdrawal. A second depression seemed inevitable, and pockets of people throughout the world began futilely and stupidly purchasing copious amounts of antidepressants to combat the economic crash. Fresh water was depleting, and whatever was left had to be harvested for the great cause. All seemed hopeless. The world was burning before humanity's very eyes, but humanity was not pleased. In one glorious last-ditch effort to serve Dane Johnson his drink, the world began using salt water. Not only was it cheaper, more abundant, and tastier, but it might just kill Dane Johnson. It looked like things wouldn't turn out as bad as they looked, except for Africa, which had always been a gaping hole. And then, one bright, sunny Monday morning in October of 1998, Dane Johnson died of a stroke at the age of 83. The very next day, his drink was completed. No one knew what to do with it. Starbucks followed their policy of placing the unclaimed order on the counter for someone to claim it. This was ineffective for weeks on end, and Dane still did not pick up his drink. To this day, the drink has remained unclaimed. Sort of an embarrassment, really. We got ourselves so worked up over serving some person the world's biggest coffee, and then he dies. No wonder no one wanted to claim it. It was, essentially, a big figurative coffee stain in the big book of world history. Our final hour? Or our finest hour? Wait, this is just a Final Fantasy map. The end? So, the double Ristretto Venti Half-Soy Non-Fat Decaf Organic Chocolate Brownie Ice Vanilla Double Shot Gingerbread Frappuccino Extra Hot with foam, whipped cream, upside down double blended, one sweet and low and one NutraSweet, and ice affair, eventually quieted down, and the mass media looked for their next titular flavor of the month. However, no one would forget the ravaging effects of that day, except for those unfortunate few inflicted with Alzheimer's. Humanity, blinded by obsession, steered down the loaded gun of annihilation, which was for a moment held by a beverage with an incredulously long name. Yet, fate is a fickle mistress, and when it just looked like a drink, of all things, non-alcoholic too, was about to pop a cap in humanity's face, fate did a backward somersault through the air, only to knock that very gun of doom from coffee's unclean hands. Humankind is safe, for now. One question remains. Where is this enigmatic drink now? Those obsessed with so-called experts should know that Wikipedia once had an article about double Ristretto Venti Half-Soy Non-Fat Decaf Organic Chocolate Brownie Ice Vanilla Double Shot Gingerbread Frappuccino Extra Hot with foam, whipped cream, upside down double blended, one sweet and low and one NutraSweet and ice. But it was deleted for fears of the truth leaking out. Conspiracy theorists the world over agree the United States government covered up the drink and have hidden it in a top-secret military base somewhere in New Mexico. Yeah, absolutely, no questions asked, says a top conspiracy theorist who asked that his identity be kept secret. They seized the drink due to its deadly capabilities. No doubt there are thousands, maybe millions of miles underground right now, examining and probing it even as we speak. Despite the fact that our anonymous expert, sounds so assured that his theory is accurate, one damaging shred of evidence to the contrary remains. The drink still resides at the Starbucks from which it was brewed. When asked about this, our anonymous expert responded, "Piddly squish and dandabruff! They've taken it away to a secret underground facility. The one still at the restaurant is a decoy. They think they can fool me. I'll show them. I'll blow the lid off this whole thing." He then walked away from our interviewer, mumbling something about, "Can't stay in one place too long. They'll kill me. You know, them." Our interviewer reportedly went home and had a steaming hot shower. Some people believe that the drink was actually not the longest Starbucks order and is missing only one crucial ingredient, a cherry on top. That would mean that the longest Starbucks order is theoretically again, I'm not going to say it. Still, in the coming months, this theory is predicted to be squashed when more physicists research the drink. It is argued that the cherry on top would negate the existence of the drink. Foreign physics analysis Dr. I'm not even going to say that, argued in his thick Stanian accent. So although the imagination can think that there could be a cherry on top of the drink, it may not be physically possible.